In a small village surrounded by rolling hills, there lived a young man named David. David was known for his kindness and willingness to help others, but he struggled with one important quality: discipline. He had big dreams of becoming a great farmer, known for growing the finest crops in the region. However, he often found himself distracted by other things, visiting friends, watching the clouds, and spending hours daydreaming. As a result, his fields remained barren, and his dreams seemed far out of reach. One day, an old farmer named Mr. Harris, who was respected by everyone for his abundant harvests, noticed David's empty fields. Concerned, Mr. Harris invited David to his farm for tea. As they sipped their tea, David admired the lush crops growing all around. "How do you do it, Mr. Harris?" David asked. "Your fields are always full, while mine are empty. I want to be a successful farmer, but I just can't seem to make it happen." "Mr. Harris smiled gently. "It's not just about wanting it, David. It's about discipline. Discipline is like the soil. Without it, no seed will grow." "Discipline," David echoed. "But how can I learn it?" Mr. Harris led David to a small, neglected garden behind his house. The soil was dry, the plants were withered, and weeds grew everywhere. "This was once my garden," Mr. Harris explained, "but I ignored it for too long. Look at what happened." David stared at the garden in disbelief. It was hard to imagine that this once belonged to the same man who grew such magnificent crops. Mr. Harris continued, "Discipline is what keeps a garden or a life flourishing. Without it, even the best intentions wither away." But here's the secret, David. Discipline isn't about working nonstop. It's about consistent, focused effort over time. You don't need to plow the entire field in one day. You just need to tend to it a little each day, rain or shine. The words struck David deeply. He realized that his lack of discipline had been like ignoring the garden, leaving his dreams to wither. Inspired by Mr. Harris's wisdom, David decided to change. He made a promise to himself to work on his fields every day, no matter how small the task. The next morning, David rose early and headed to his fields. At first, it was difficult. He was tempted to abandon the work and spend his time on more enjoyable things. But he remembered Mr. Harris's words and pushed through the distractions. Each day, he focused on one small task: pulling weeds, planting seeds, watering the soil. Slowly, the barren fields began to change. Tiny green sprouts appeared, and David felt a sense of pride he had never known before. Weeks turned into months, and David's fields began to flourish. The once empty land was now filled with healthy, growing crops. The villagers noticed the transformation and praised David's hard work. But David knew that the real change had happened within him. He had learned the art of discipline, not as a burden, but as a pathway to his dreams. One day, Mr. Harris visited David's farm. Seeing the vibrant fields, he nodded in approval. "You've done well, David. You've mastered the most important lesson of all: discipline." David smiled, his heart full of gratitude. "Thank you, Mr. Harris. I finally understand. Discipline isn't just about working hard. It's about staying committed, even when it's not easy. It's about taking small, steady steps toward your goal, day after day." As the seasons passed, David's farm continued to thrive, becoming one of the most successful in the region. But more than the crops, it was David's newfound discipline that became the root of his success. He knew that whatever challenge life might bring, he had the strength and the discipline to overcome it, one step at a time.